Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am so happy to have a conversation with actress Meredith Garretson. You can currently see Meredith as Kate Hawthorne in Resident Alien, which I am such a huge fan of.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being on my show. I am so excited to be talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I feel honored. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's get started. So who do you most admire and how has that impacted the way you live your life?
Wow. I love it. I love it right out the gate. Um,
You.
well, let's see. The first thing that comes to mind um, music was the first thing that came to mind, and I admire the band Radiohead. They're my favorite band. Um, I've been listening to them since I was like a little kid, and the reason they jumped to the forefront of my mind right away is because they're like I think they're the greatest band in the world. I'm a little biased, but I think like I think they're the greatest band in the world, and the reason why is because every single album they've ever put out is an evolution. It's they defy genre, they defy one style of music only, one, they're constantly adding instruments, they're constantly adding different sounds. They went from being like a punk band to being a rock band to adding orchestration, orchestral music to adding violins and strings and electronic music. And I feel like the sort of highest and most sort of aligned version of an artist is when you just keep evolving as you work, and that you are constantly getting curious and integrating new information and growing and changing. And yeah, I feel like I that's the kind of artist that I want to be, is an artist who's constantly evolving project after project after project. And that's the first thing that came to mind. Um, I admire a lot of people right now who are in the activist world, people who are putting their bodies and um, their their platform and their voice behind things that matter, um, trying to help shine light on issues for people who, you know any group of people who need a voice. There's an amazing activist named Queen Jean, and she is a leader of many movements and is a person I look up to a lot, because I think that's a very important part of our job as artists,
Yeah.
is to you know to care about things and stand up for things. Um, it's funny I haven't named any actors. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about that, and I admire so many. I admire so many actors. I I God, you know, I think I admire actors who who can defy. Oh, okay. Well, Lois Smith is this actress who is she's a stage actress. She was in like East of Eden when she was very young, and she was in the original. She's in Steppenwolf, the original company of Steppenwolf, and she's been in like, you've seen her in a million movies. She was like Aunt May and Twister. She's been in all sorts of shows and movies and stuff, and she's an amazing stage actress. And I've seen her in like everything. And there's this quality that she has on stage where you kind of like lean forward in your seat, because you're not sure what she's going to do next. And you can't believe that she's saying someone else's lines because she's so truthful and organic, and she's such an amazing listener. Um, and I have always loved watching her on stage, and it's always been a desire of mine to be the kind of actor on stage where it's not just about being good or being, you know, I admire actors who are really dangerous on stage. You don't know what's going to happen. They make you
Yeah.
sit forward in your seat, and they risk, you know,
Yeah.
risk really, really just being there on the night, that and I feel that way about screen actors too. When you watch someone really just let themselves be watched. I mean, the first performance I can think of off the top of my head right now is Sandra in Anatomy of a Fall, and her performance in that. I mean, I really admire actors who are really who let themselves really be seen. And yeah, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but there's a couple for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Um, so what small things bring you joy on a daily basis?
Hmm. My dog, Arlo,
Yeah.
well, he is a small thing. He's only in the sense that he's only about 12 and a half pounds, and
Wow.
he's the love of my life.
Yeah.
And as is my partner, Danny. But Arlo, taking care of Arlo, uh, feeding him, walking him, watching him behave, snuggling him,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
that brings me joy. I love I love exercise. I love to run, to be inside my body, to sweat. Um, I love cooking for myself. I'm vegan and gluten free, so I make most of my food, and that's really joyful. My favorite thing to eat right now is vegan yogurt with frozen blueberries in it, and I mix it all up, and it kind of tastes like ice cream, but it's really good for you. Um,
Oh,
and I have that every morning for breakfast. So
yeah.
that's a thing that brings me joy. Um, and right now doing the spelling bee on the New York Times Games app.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
I'm really obsessed with getting the queen bee designation where you find all the words with the letters. Um, there's some things that bring me joy.
I love that. Yeah, yeah, I love those. My dog, it brings me a ton of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogs
What
are just the best.
they're the best. It's like
Yeah,
they're the absolute best.
yeah,
Being around a dog is like it just puts everything in perspective.
yeah,
They just give love. They give and give and give love. And,
yeah,
I can't really be in a bad mood or have
yeah,
too bad of a day when I look down and I'm like, oh, this little guy, he loves me and he needs me. What kind of a dog do you have?
She's a plot hound mix.
Ooh.
Yeah, which before we got her, we had never heard of that. Um, so we got her during the pandemic, so she's a pandemic puppy. And
Mm,
the shelter didn't like really know any of her history, so we didn't know any like backstory.
mm,
So we really have no idea how old she is, but
wow.
um she's a puppy, or was when we got her, and she still acts like it. And so she is just the best. She brings
Mm,
me so much joy.
I love it.
Yeah. And she every night she sleeps like at the end of my bed. She just curls up
Mm.
by my feet. Um and so it's just the best.
Our dog is he'll rotate back and forth between sleeping. He won't sleep between my legs. He only sleeps between Danny, my partner's legs, but he will rotate between there and sleeping like right up next to me, like just pressed against my body. So, and he
Oh.
moves back and forth sort of at his leisure all night. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. What kind of dog is he?
He's an Affenpinscher, which is like it's like an old German breed. They're kind of related to a Brussels Griffon. And they kind of have like a little, he's got a little smushed face, and he's he's a it's like an old German ratter. Like they were back in the day, whenever they were bred to find like rats in German castles or something. But he's got like three teeth to speak of, and he's 14 years old and is like this just little black ball of fur with like two little black marble eyes sticking out. He's so cute.
Yeah, he sounds adorable.
Very cute. If I can, I will grab him and bring him into frame once this interview is once it's just you and me after the interview.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so what is the best song to describe your life right now?
Hmm. I mean, everything for me is I take a lot of inspiration from Radiohead. So I think it would definitely be a Radiohead song. Um, for some reason, for some reason, the song "There" is coming up for me, and it's about sort of it's about one of the lines in it is we are all accidents waiting to happen. And another line in it is just because you feel it doesn't mean it's there. And I don't know why that's coming up for me, but I got to trust it and go with it, which is
Yeah,
uh, just I think there's a lot of internal uh, the world feels like it's in such upheaval to me, and maybe just the sort of dealing with one's internal life in a time where there seems like there's just so much going on,
yeah,
um I feel like it's uh trying to figure out how to be like a force of good while we're on the planet, and how to deal with the day to day kind of
yeah,
emotional landscape of everything that's happening on the planet. That's the truthful answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love having just those artists that have just like been there for you through so much and um yeah, and have helped you through so much. So yeah.
Yeah. What I love about them. I mean, we could make this whole podcast about Radiohead, but
Yeah.
what I what I love about them is that there's such a good mix. It's not one, I would love to say that the song that described my life is like, you know, what a feeling, or I'm so excited, or like,
Yeah.
because there's lots of joy, and I feel
Yeah.
total gratitude for abundance and my work and everything. But
Yeah.
I also feel like all of their music contains joy and other things, sadness, confusion. It's everything. Their music's complicated. So
Yeah.
life is complicated. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So what is your favorite way to procrastinate?
uh, recently, my favorite way to procrastinate is I love to watch the Traitors franchise. Um, which is kind of like the game Mafia, except it's like a TV show. It's like they put all these people in a castle and they pick of all the people, they pick like three traitors, and the traitors get to go around and like they like kill off the non-traitors every night, and the non-traitors are there to try and find um who the traitors are and like vote them out. That's the goal. And they're winning.
Yeah.
I kind of like the game aspect of that show. And I like it like drops my cortisol levels. I like relax. You know what I mean? I have a little bit of popcorn and like
Yeah.
watch an episode of The Traitors.
Yeah.
That is that's a total that's a big one. I do like to procrastinate with that. Have you watched that show?
I haven't, but I've seen so many commercials for it. So
Well, I tell you, the Australian one is a hoot. So if you want to start somewhere, the Australian first season is great.
oh, cool.
And
I'll
you gonna look
Oh,
into it?
sorry. I was just gonna say I'll have to go and watch that.
Oh, please do. I was thinking the other thing I like to do is I'll spend a good, even though I know I've got stuff to do in the morning, I'll spend a good like hour drinking a matcha and like playing all the New York Times games. That's a great. I'm like, well, I can't get up until I've done the spelling bee and I've done the Wordle and I've done my crossword. So
Yeah.
those are my fascination
Yeah.
tools.
Oh, I love that.
I want to ask you all these questions back, you know?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I am. Well, my favorite way to procrastinate is just if I'm like binge watching a show, just like to keep watching it. And
Mhm.
if I'm kind of like dreading doing something, putting off as long as possible. Um, like, I don't feel like doing this right now. I'm watching another episode. So, I,
Relatable.
yeah, that I think that's a big way I procrastinate.
I mean, the streaming platforms, that's like, you know, that's what
Yeah,
they're there for. It's like, oh, I
yeah,
could watch 10 episodes of this, like
yeah,
instead of doing whatever I have to do later. Yeah. Nope.
yeah,
Yes, I'll do.
yeah, definitely. Um, so do you have any irrational fears?
Yes. And we don't have enough time for all of them on your podcast. Um, I have I always mispronounce it, but it's trypophobia, which is the fear of small holes all close together. Like, have you ever seen like a dried lotus pod? Like the flat, like it's a flat brown
Oh, yeah, I
pod
think so.
and it has
Yeah.
all these little holes in it with seeds inside.
Oh, yeah.
Even talking about it is giving me the itches. Like,
Mm,
yeah, it's a texture thing. So I have a
mm,
texture phobia. That is
mm,
like, um, that's a big one. That's a totally irrational fear. And then I used to have a pretty bad irrational fear of slugs.
mm.
Um, there was like a slug migration through our backyard once when I was a kid, and my like dad was like, come look what's going on." And I just remember seeing like hundreds of them, and something like snapped in me, and I was like, so I started having nightmares about them crawling all over my skin, and So I
Oh,
think that's a pretty rational fear,
yeah.
irrational fear. They're pretty friendly slugs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's very generous of you. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
I also have an irrational fear of mayonnaise. I don't,
mm,
I don't like mayonnaise. I don't like the smell of it. I have a hard time looking at it.
mm, yeah.
There,
Yeah. Yeah, I have so many irrational fears. And,
oh my gosh,
yeah,
join me. I
yeah.
mean, give me one if you feel like it.
Okay. Well, I don't know, my brain is great at coming up with totally um irrational scenarios of things because I have really bad anxiety, so I can like come up with like the worst possible thing that
Hmm.
and like be so scared of that. And my mom and my sister are always like, you know, that's really unlikely to happen. Like that's impossible. I'm like, I know, but I and yeah, and like even over Zoom, when I'm doing an interview, like I don't know why, but I'm so like there's a lot of times I just get so freaked out with what if like somebody else got the Zoom link, even though I know there's no possible way, and so somebody
Wow.
else pops on and I don't know why that is the first thing that comes to mind when people ask me that, because I know it's totally irrational, but I don't know. There's just something that I get
Well,
in
you
my
know,
head about.
I totally hear that. And somebody reminded me once that all feelings are irrational because they're not, they're, they're in the body, you know? So
Yeah,
it's like, there's even positive feelings are irrational. There's no rationale going on
yeah,
with feelings.
yeah,
So, and I had a therapist tell me once that, because I do the same thing where I'm like, oh my God, you know, what if this awful thing happens? And then I can really devote like a lot of time to like imagining the scenario. And then my body goes into the like shock of, and the physical response of anxiety because your
yeah,
body doesn't know any difference between a thought you're thinking and something actually happening.
yeah,
And my therapist was like, you know, that's just you're just the reason she was like the reason you do that is because you're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to prepare yourself for what the worst case scenario might be so that if it happens, you'll have already imagined it, you know, you'll know. So, you know, I try and give myself because I have terrible anxiety too and I
yeah,
try and give myself a little bit of a break to be like, "Hey, I'm just
yeah,
this little voice is just trying to protect me from, you know, embarrassing myself or getting hurt or, you know, anyway.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've never like thought of that every feeling is sort of irrational. That's
Right?
so interesting.
It's true. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, none of them are. Okay. Well, that's oddly soothing to
Yeah.
me, you know?"
Yeah. 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 So I am pop culture obsessed and I go on stages of shows that I cannot stop watching.
Got
Um,
it.
is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Well, definitely the traders. Definitely the traders. I yeah, I have to admit I've watched like all of the UK version, all of the Australian version, all of the US version. That's like the one that I'm digesting. And I have to say, and I know this is going to sound super tacky and like a plug for my own show, LOL, but it's not. I'm really being serious. When they released Resident Alien on Netflix,
Yeah.
um, and that was like, we were all so excited for it to also be on Netflix that I went back and rewatched our first and second season, which, I shot and then have seen since, but
Yeah.
I was watching it just to support the numbers on Netflix, and I just went back and was like, oh my God, our show is so funny. I was just
Yeah.
like, I was laughing at places that things I forgot about. And so it's been kind of this fun thing where I've like
Yeah.
had it running. Like I'll, be doing the dishes and I'll be like, oh, just put our show on, like while I'm doing
Yeah.
the dishes. And, you know, I'm one of those actors where it's a little cringy to watch myself
Yeah.
always, but I just ignore myself and I watch all of my brilliant, um, you know,
Yeah.
co-stars, and they're all. I just, I'm like, I got re-obsessed with our show again, and
Yeah.
was like, it's so funny and so good.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm watching when I'm at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, when Resident Alien came on Netflix, my mom and I did the same thing. We went and rewatched the first two seasons.
God bless
Um,
you.
it's just so funny. Yeah, we just are obsessed with that show.
Well, we love to hear that. We have the best fans. We really do. And I feel like we have a lot more of them now that it's on Netflix and on a wider platform. And now it's like, it's in the top 10 on Netflix in like 13 countries now. So
Oh, wow.
which is so cool, like it's
Yeah,
so, because we've always kind of said, that if this happened, we were like, if we got on to Netflix, or if we had more opportunities for people to see it, because people don't always have, not everybody watches like cable TV anymore. Not everybody has Peacock. Not everybody has Hulu. So we were like, if
yeah,
you know, if more people saw it, I think it
yeah,
would really blow up, and
yeah.
and it has. So which has been really beautiful after all these years of working on it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I love just finding a good show to binge watch. So,
Yeah. Do you
yeah,
have any
yeah.
do you have any binge shows right now that are really good?
Oh, right now okay, so I'm still it's been this way for like the past over a year. I've been watching the show Grimm, which I am completely obsessed with. And then
Yes.
I've taken like short breaks in between when like I feel like, since it's, darker, then when like if my anxiety's high, I take a break from it because I'm like, I know I can't handle this right now. Um
Totally.
and so then when I was taking a break from that, I um started watching Chicago Med, which I am also obsessed with.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm just switching between those two shows.
So, I mean, I just did an episode of Chicago Med this year, and
Oh,
um,
cool.
there's such a lovely crew. Everyone
Yeah,
over there is so nice, and
yeah,
it was such a warm environment. That's cool. I love that you like bounce
yeah,
back and forth between those flavors.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I just thought of a show. Have you seen Dark?
Oh, I haven't.
Okay. I'm admitting this is breaking news on your
Yeah,
podcast, which is that now listen, I'm a happily coupled lady,
yeah,
but I have a serious crush
yeah,
on Lewis Hoffman, who is this German actor. He was also in All the Light We Cannot See, but he's the lead
yeah,
actor in Dark, and
yeah,
he's so talented. The show is so good. You definitely need breaks because it's like it is dark, but it's
yeah,
like it's a German show. It's so well made. It's so beautiful, and it's like um it has this sort of sci-fi premise to it. And what I love about it is that they like, sometimes a show makes like an offering like that's really crazy, and you're like, how are they going to fulfill this? How are they going to do this thing that they have now brought into, the audience's mind? How are they going to close this up? And it's one of the most
Yeah.
successful like endings of a show I've ever seen. And Lewis Hoffman is
Yeah.
so good, and he's super dreamy.
Oh.
He's so handsome. So if he's listening to this,
Yeah.
find me on Instagram. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a good show. So add that to your list.
Oh, I will. I am writing that down right now. And
So good.
yeah, oh, I love that. Yeah, and it never hurts when there's, a good-looking actor in the show.
Come on. I mean, when there's a beautiful person,
Yeah,
it's enjoyable.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I'll have to yeah, go right after our interview. I am gonna go look up Dark.
Love
So
it. You gotta follow up and tell me what you think about it.
I will. Yeah.
It's it's dubbed, which at first I was like, am I gonna get through this? But I have to say, I didn't know a lot about dubbing, but the dubbing's really good. Like
Oh,
it's very successfully dubbed. Um, they try and match, they change, like you can see what the script was supposed to be like written in the subtitle, and then they don't say
yeah.
that exact line, but they say the same meaning, but they make it more match the mouth of the person speaking in German.
Oh,
It's so cool. It's like this whole world of stuff I knew nothing about, but
yeah.
really good.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I usually can't watch things with subtitles because I can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
Um
Oh,
and
understandable.
yeah, and then usually with a few things that have been dubbed that I like my mom and I have tried watching, it's so distracting because the words do not match their
Yes.
lips. So that is super interesting, and I'm very excited to try it.
Check it out.
I will. Yeah, thank you for the recommendation.
Got it. And I'll check out Grimm.
Oh, yes, you'll have to let me know what you think
Oh
of
well. I
that.
need I need a new show. I finished all the Trader stuff. So
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
fun.
Yeah. Um, so if you had, or sorry, um, I lost my place. Oh, and what question I was at. Um, what do you wish people better understood about you?
Oh, hmm. I think I'm quite weird. And um, you know, I'm pretty verbal, and so I think I do lead, like I'm pretty front-footed about being the person that I am with other people. Um, but I think sometimes in our business we sort of get lumped into categories, a little bit. Not even on purpose. It
Yeah,
just kind of happens. You do one kind of a job and then you're more likely to do that kind of a job again, or.
yeah,
And I think sometimes that I don't maybe I don't always get to be as weird as I don't know, like everyone's weird. I guess that's kind of a vague thing to say because everyone has their own version of weirdness. But
yeah,
um I think I'm quite contemplative and strange in my own way. And And I would like more and more opportunities to explore that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So if you had a reality TV show about your life, what
Yes.
would it be called?
um, well, I've threatened to like I've threatened to well, okay, it might be a cooking show and it might be called Nutritional Beast because instead of nutritional yeast because I put nutritional yeast on everything because it's high in B12 and vegans don't get a lot of B12, so I like invent reasons to use nutritional yeast on everything I eat. Um so if I had a reality show, it would most likely be a cooking show or a show about like whatever, or it would be like called uh just crying. Because I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm sad, I cry when I'm working out, I cry when I feel joy. I mean, I'm just a bit of a waterworks person.
Yeah.
um yeah, awkward crying might be a good name for my reality show. Awkward crying.
Yeah.
um But I most likely would have if I had a reality show, it'd probably be about my dog and about cooking. It'd be me in the kitchen, just like rambling and dumping nutritional yeast on stuff, I think.
Oh, I love that.
I'm just like, now I'm curious about all of your answers. Do you have an answer for that one, like prepared? Do you know?
Oh, I feel like it would probably have to be something like that didn't go as planned or
Uh,
something, because my family and I, like, we always joke that's kind of our life, that we have plan A through Z. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of things that like don't go as planned and things that happen that, are weren't planned. And like whenever like it hasn't been for a few years, but whenever like I would get need to go to the ER and it would be late at night, my um my mom would drive us and my sister would come with, and we'd always joke that it was our family road trip. It was the one place that we went. And so we even had a little chant that we'd always joke about. We'd just be like, road trip, as my mom was driving. So
I
it's
love
like a lot of, kind of warped humor, dark humor. So
love it. Love it. I mean,
yeah.
if you had a reality show called That Didn't Go as Planned, I would tune in every week. That is great. That's a great
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
title.
um So, if you had a warning label, what would yours say?
These questions are so great.
Oh, thank you.
Mine would say caution, highly sensitive, um, prone to uh, caution, highly sensitive, um, needy, um, and prone to bursts of energy and verbosity. There you go. Which I'm demonstrating right now. I wish I had a really clever one word answer, like um danger. No, not that. It wouldn't be like icy. icy roads ahead. That's not me. It wouldn't be watch out for falling rocks. It would be something else like, but yeah, I think it's my, yeah, caution, long-winded.
Oh, I
Damn,
I like those.
long-winded. I'm like a little mini version of my dad, and he was a very, very verbal person. He was a speechwriter and an orator, and he could just talk forever. And I was always like, oh God, like he talked so much, blah blah, and I like become him as an adult. So
Yeah. Well, my sister and I are basically we're mini versions of our moms.
are
So
you?
yeah.
Kind of how it goes sometimes,
Yeah.
you don't even see it coming, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so what three words best describe you?
Hmm. Strong. Um, it's generic, but it's true. Passionate. Um, Tender.
I love those. Yeah. I love those. Yeah. Yeah. So, what motivates you on days you aren't really feeling it?
And when you say aren't really feeling it, do you mean like life or anything?
Yeah.
Um,
Anything.
right now, it feels really hard to take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Um, and like it feels so just like overwhelmingly clear to me how, you know, some people have so much and other people on this planet do not and are suffering so much. And um you know I think I can feel really like that can make me feel really despondent and sad and helpless sometimes. And then I'm like, yeah, but you can't you can't waste the energy that you have or the life you have. You have to use the resources that you have for good. You have to try and do something. You have to do something. um that's a thought that motivates me. Another thing that motivates me is like caring, like I think sometimes, when we like this business, my job is full of ups and downs. And sometimes there are downs that you can really get like caught up in them, and you can get really stuck, or why didn't this happen, or how, or how, am I doing it, you can get. And I think the answer in acting is the same as it is in life, which is focus on focus on the other person, put your focus outside of yourself. And so when I think about my dog, or who needs me, or my partner who, or my family or my friends, and yeah, putting my focus outside of myself, that really motivates me. My goals really motivate me. I'm very goal oriented. I've known what I've wanted, you know, for personally, like for myself, I've known that I wanted to do this for a living and to be an artist for most of my life, um and the idea uh of making art that at the highest level that everybody sees that is healing in some way or brings people joy in some way, like that is a light at the end of a lot of tunnels. um and I love watching people do hard things. That always motivates me. Like I've there's like documentaries about, I love to run, and there's documentaries about like the Iron Man, which is, you know, the, you know, that Iron Man race is like, I like to watch things like that. And I'm like, whoa, it always moves me to see people do things that are hard, you know, where they that take courage. That those things motivate me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I feel kind of like you, like just uh goals, like having a goal motivates me that I want to reach. And yeah, I'm blanking on everything else right now, but yeah. Think having a goal to reach is
Hmm.
important to keep you motivated.
Yeah, yeah, and mm, yeah, um, yeah, and goals, like, you know, the goals not even just being I want this, like this thing, or you know, I want to get this, or I want to whatever, but the goal of
Yeah.
like having a peaceful day, or the goal of really being in my body, or of being of service, you know, um, that motivates me a lot. Mm. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, so I love inspiring or motivational quotes. And this week, my favorite quotation is, "It's important to find people who make you realize there's nothing wrong with being who you are." Um,
Mm.
is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Um, I have one that I keep with me everywhere I go, written on a little piece of paper. Um, and first of all, that's a beautiful, that's a beautiful. I'm going to take that with me. That's um,
Okay.
mm, love that. Needed to hear that today.
Yeah.
The one that I've been ruminating on for a while is, I don't even know if it's a inspirational quote as much as it is just a sort of mantra, which is, I keep the promises I make to myself.
Yeah. Oh,
And yeah, that is, that helps me like across the board. That motivates me because, you know, like I'm sober. I've been sober for a couple years, and um, you know, when I was, and you know, I just wanted to do that for myself, and I would think that I would say, yeah, I keep the promises I make to myself.
yeah.
That's what I do, and that would, you know, inspire me. You know, not like a you can do it, more like a, like this is who you are. You know, like it gave me a kind of, um, yeah, that quote's been with me a lot.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, keep that one in mind.
Good, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, it was so much fun talking with you. I so appreciate your taking the time. I have had the best time, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for asking me such insightful, thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
pleasure.
Sorry, you kind of cut out.
I just said it was my pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I've just had the best time. Yeah, I so appreciate your taking the time and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Uh, and that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.